The pressure is getting worse. Oh, I'm a man of all seasons, man from the internet, sneakerhead. I really love good shoes, and a father to two beautiful ladies, Zion and Zuri, and yeah, that's all about it. Although I am a very untalented musician, mostly do my compositions in the shower. Yeah, that's me. The platform I use the most lately, it has always been Twitter or X, if you want to call it that. But lately I find myself scrolling and getting into some weird loophole on TikTok. So I find myself scrolling, and interestingly, I like Ugandan content the most there. Some very funny, some very vulgar. Why are people so vulgar? Some very entertaining. So I love Ugandan content, and I think one of the guys that I've fallen in love with, not loving him, but his content, I find this guy very funny. Some guy, he calls himself Urban Koja. He always gives tips on some weird topics. Yeah, so I think I like TikTok the most lately, but I'm huge on Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram. I have not tried the Threads. Maybe I don't know how to not. Yeah. I think storytelling, and honestly, it is not something that is new to me because of marketing or influencing. I love to tell a good story. So if I'm able to tell a story that is able to move you from one action to the other, and my clients get some catching in their accounts, they also make some catching on my side of the account. So yeah, that's it. The industry I dream of working with as an influencer, I think in the Ugandan context, is really anything that is lifestyle. I love to work with lifestyle brands, and even trying to change the very blue collar brands into lifestyle affinity brands. I love doing that. So I love everything in the entertainment industry, like lifestyle. I try a little bit of banking here and there, but I think I also would want to work with more tech startups, tech-driven industries, like not the telecoms. You know, in Uganda, when you say tech, we think of just the telecoms. No, not the telecoms. I want to work with people who are creating the next big thing, the innovators. Yeah, that's all.
Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Dan and Josh. My name is Danny.
This is Josh.
Exactly, and we have a guest today. Feels like that. It's that stuff in the studio. They do more talking for us. Exactly. We have the internet sweetheart. Here to talk about a sweet topic, something that is we want to talk about for a long time, and finally we have him here. Guys, we have Eric.
Good to be here.
Himself. Please tell us.
Guys, good to be here. I am not a sweetheart, like you're trying to put it.
The timeline
just the timeline. That timeline just likes me somehow. Yeah, but yeah.
All right. So Eric is joining us. He's going to tell us what he does, who he is, why he's a sweetheart. But he's going to be talking about the Irks or the Irks. I think it's Irks. Yeah, that's the one. English was paid for. He's going to talk about the Irks of the business of influencer marketing.
Yep.
Because we've talked about influencers from the side of the client side, from generals' perspective, people's perspective. Now, we want to hear from the influencers themselves.
Why do they love or hate their job?
Yes, and how can we work better with them? Yeah. All right, so let's jump straight into this. Tell us about yourself, sir.
I can't repeat my name. So I'll say what my Twitter bio says. I'm a comms and marketing specialist. Okay. I'm a father to two beautiful ladies, Zion and Zuri. I love everything comms, I love everything creative, I love movies, I love music, I love to party. That is me in a nutshell. And also, very untalented musician.
Yes.
Just in case you hear me in the bathroom and be like, who's that crying? Yeah, I'll be in my best moment.
That's great to know. That's great to know. So, we want to talk about influencing.
Yes.
Yep, the
yes.
business, and then we shall talk about the other things.
Okay.
So,
okay.
how does one start out to be an influencer? Where do you begin?
I think one of the things I've realized in the market, in the trade, is no one is particularly set out to be like, I'm going to go to school and become an influencer marketer. So from my own experience, I was an accidental influencer. The time when the internet really was taking the shape in Uganda, early 2000s, the early 10s, I realized my little audience could earn me an extra buck in the things I do. So I tried to work with a few brands here, spotlight events here and there, and that's how the trade started off for me. But again, I've realized in recent days that people that are a bit punctual when it comes to how they want to end up being influencers. They try to communicate to the brands they want to work with, they try to build their digital personas, and somehow these businesses come back and work with them. But yeah, but again, on that topic of how to become an influencer, and then it goes back to stress some of the topics you've discussed previously, who an influencer actually is, the different categories. We get to realize that we could be different influencers to different brands, and we could be different categories to different brands. I could easily be a macro influencer to this brand and be a nano influencer to the other brand. So that is how I would say it. But so no one really, most people, I think, even most of the Ugandans that influence today, were mostly accidental influencers. They didn't wake up and be like, I'm going to be this person, but maybe their audience has got a few brands, their content got a few brands interested in the kind of content they put out, and they were like, yeah, maybe we should try working out with Josh or Daniel or Zachary, and we see how things go. So yeah.
It's so it coming.
And then go!
This is an accident.
Like this.
So really, it is a profession that can find you.
It can find you. You can find it or it finds you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, okay, we now know what it takes to be an influencer-ish, kinda. But from your perspective, what is the role of influencing or influencers in
The market.
in marketing mix? Yeah, or in marketing generally. What do you think is that role with influencers?
So the textbook role would be that influencer would get buyer personalities from one buyer's journey to the next, and usually it's action based.
Yeah.
I would say it's action based. But again, when I come back to the Ugandan practice, the context in Uganda, we've seen influencers play quite a mix of roles.
Yeah.
There are brands that really pick up nano influencers just to create an awareness. We call them noisemakers. They come on the platforms, they make noise about the brand. Whether they understand the brand or that campaign is a question. But they'll make noise. You say, client says, I want a trend. The client gets a trend.
Trending
So-
as a KPI.
This really goes back to the very primary goals that people really have to address in what they're trying to do with these influencer campaigns. If the client really wants noise, they'll pay for that noise.
Yeah.
If they want to be able to move their personalities from one stage to the other, to make an action, to live the experience of the product or service, they'll pay for that. Yeah, so it's usually really the objective of what the client really desires. Yeah.
Which means most times the client doesn't know why they're hiring these people, and then they don't know which people to hire for what.
Yeah. So we've seen a mix of pressures. I'll call them commercial pressures, internal and external for clients. A client sees like, hey, I am product A. My competitor is product B. Product B is making some good noise online. Maybe I should counter that noise and also make some noise as well. And the the return on investment on that will always be misguided because they just wanted to make a campaign because it was reactional. But there's something that has happened recently. I know you guys have seen it on your timelines. We've seen a certain industry go all out on influencers. It's a big It's a big industry. It's one of the four pillars of any country when you look at the business side of life. This industry has chosen to look out for influencers to talk about their products. Now, this industry is not your product-based industry. They're not going to be like, hey, today you're going to sell you milk type A, and then tomorrow it's convince you with some butter, and then tomorrow you bring eggs. It's not that kind of industry. So they have gone out to get influencers to speak about their brand, their services. Some are getting it right. Others are really making noise. When you ask me what would their return on investment be for this influencer, for these campaigns, I'm like, maybe there are guys who are being constructive about what kind of information they're putting out my trip. These guys who are making noise, of course the client will see a trend every Monday. If that client wants a trend every Tuesday, they'll get their trend. But whether there will be uptake of their services and products, that is a question. Yeah.
Interesting. So, how do you then stand out as an influencer? If now we understand what you guys do, we understand what it takes to become an influencer, how do you stand out? How does Eric stand out from Jen, or stand out from Bob, or whoever else?
Standing out. Interesting. This is a thing. And from a very personal, this is my opinion, not anyone's. Yes. Not Daniel, not Josh.
Yes.
So I've seen the influencer marketing get a new face in Uganda. So we are getting people who we are calling content creators as influencers.
Okay.
So what stands out for you as a person who's trying to create content that interests brands to come work with you would be the kind of content you create. Is it clear? If you want to be really an entertainment space influencer, maybe going to all these parties in Kampala would be a KPI for you. Creating content at these events would be a KPI for you, so you have to create content that resonates with those brands you really want to work with. That is A. The second bit that I think that would really stand out is everyone is a different personality.
Yeah.
And we know whenever people tell us that, oh, you can learn from person X, it doesn't mean go do what person X they're doing. We can only have one Ankomo. We can only have one Irks, Zachary, Mugisha. So I can't be Ankomo and Ankomo doesn't want to be me. I don't know if he wants to be me though. So, the thing is, try to be your unique self and create content in your language, in the way you think your audiences really understand, and see if brands are willing to work with you. That is when it is you trying to be. But and you've really spoke to this in your previous episodes, for brands that want to work with influencers, try to work with people that really communicate your brand. Don't work with them because they had 10K followers, because they can get you 80 RTs. You can look at that and be like, you're trying to have someone who has numbers here already, but do their audiences relate to the service and products? Do they see that influencer live through that brand or service or product?
It's like an airline hiring someone. Let's leave it.
You can't tell me to be an airline content influencer. You hardly see me on the plane. But hey, I'm always on a border. What? Getting like a dust. So I think also brands have to look at trying to work with personalities that really align to their brand values. And there's something that usually happens for one of the brands I work with. They have this thing where they come every 90 days to teach you their brand. Nice. And every time they are doing this, they send you an email saying, mandatory. You miss this, we push the contract to the next quarter. To them, it's a given.
It's a must.
You come, they'll tell you the same things they told you in January. They'll mention them again in March. They'll tell you the same in August. Bring it back in November. So they're a bit careful with their content, but also they want their influencers to leave the entire detail of their service and product.
So as an influencer, you leave the brand.
You leave the brand. So I think such brands really rip. And when you look at when they later go to discuss their financials and they tell you how influencer marketing contributed to their overall revenues, they have a direct line. They tell you, like, by the way, last year, because of campaign XXX, we're able to shoot this much in the market because of what you guys did. So such brands really rip. And brands, there's that other brand, it wakes up in the morning, calls some guy who's a plug, is like, we plug. Give us 20 guys. We need a trend. So you look at such a brand and people are just hired remotely and they get on, they never even have an onboarding meeting, so they just start shooting content. Some person mentions you can take Panadol with this drink and you're like, yeah, but that is not even okay per the regulations, per the Uganda regulations around this drink. Why would you say something like that? So I think at any point, it is key for also brands to make sure that they are doing their fair share of educating, onboarding, and making sure that influencers really understand their brand values when they're doing these marketing campaigns.
Nice.
So you've been on these streets for a while.
Yeah.
For a while. What are those things that rub you the wrong way?
I think I've already hinted on some of these.
Now you can really say, give.
So I think the first thing is seeing people who do not understand the brand influence for it.
Okay.
That is the first, and it's a two-way blame. I blame the brand and also blame the influencer. I blame the brand for not taking time to really educate these people what they are. I blame the influencer for being in this place where the internet of things you have every resource to yourself. I remember this tweet, and you guys remember this tweet. The person who was tweeting about a car, and she said the seats, it can drive from this to 60 and they were like, you could have just got into ChatGPT and put a small prompt and gives you facts about this car.
Yes.
So I also blame influencers who don't take time to understand the brands, the products they're speaking to. So that is one of my biggest X.
That one.
Yeah, that one. That's number 2. But my blame is really both clients.
It's both ways. Which is totally fine.
So number 2 is the kind of content people create, and you find someone trying to. I've seen people do this content so much. Sometime it was so popular. I even went on socials. I was like, you guys, stop being Morgan Freeman in your days. Don't give us a work of your day. I woke up, took a shower, put some makeup on, pulled some jeans, get ready with me. Now, get ready with me content is really not bad. But there are people who are doing it in a way that you don't see this brand in there, get ready with me. And people don't know how to do what I would call soft placements in the video. So this person is doing a get ready with me video that is like, say, a minute to say 1.5 or 2 minutes. I'm going to watch the first bit and I'm already depressed with the content. I'm like, man, scroll. So you as a brand, your product is there in the end. It has not been any soft launch somewhere. Man, if I'm getting ready with you and you're doing a detergent video, put it somewhere put it somewhere in your bathroom when you're brushing so I can see it go. Then Oba show me another thing that has the brand somewhere. Like, try to put soft placements. But again, this goes back to education on the onboarding by the brand. If the brand really does not educate the influencer in how they want to see their brand through their content, the brand is going to have a big miss. The influencer might get them the likes. The video might be tantalizing and a few people watch it to the end, but was there brand value, brand mileage in that kind of content? So it is key. I think that the last one, which is really client facing mostly, the idea that a successful influencer campaign can be measured on the metric of a trend.
You are preaching.
We have sung this
The
song.
idea.
We have sung this song for how long has this been?
When is trending?
So I think
Finally, we get to hear it from an influencer
Yes.
the
themselves.
idea. Because man, you can't tell me, and man, these people usually come on their worst days when they want that trend.
When someone
Probably
drops nudes or something.
someone dropped nudes. Museveni has a State of Nation address. There's a Man U versus Arsenal game.
Champions League.
There's a food thing that happened somewhere. So there's all these conversations that are already creating
great.
generic content.
Yes.
The attraction is really generic. It's very organic.
Then
And then
you
there's you. Who thinks people should first stop doing that?
And
First come pay attention to you.
swimming against the current.
I'm hoping to win.
Hey, I'm hoping to win. And I'm like, yeah, maybe let's not do that. Let's try to have more argumented campaigns. Let's be more seasoned in the campaigns we are creating to see that we have value for both the brand and the influencers. Because at the end of the day, the influencer's success is the brand success. If the influencer is not getting it right, the brand can't get it right. If the brand is not getting it right, the influencer won't get it right. So that's key. Maybe the last one. The last one. Come budget baadaye. Come budget. So we've seen most guys, they want to do an influencer campaign that should create talkability for a year in a week.
How is that?
Like, you want us to be like, hey, you know what? JB has launched a roofing product. Ajogedeko for 3 days.
Yes.
But people should remember him in August. Nga tuli mu Jan. That I think that is a bit wrong. So we need to move away from that to going to a place where we know that we want to create more talkability. So it means let's have longer campaigns. Let's have more budgets to them. Again, you could be running a 3 months campaign. Don't bring influencers on in the last week.
Yeah.
Try to create content with them from the start of the campaign.
Phase.
Let people be able to read into your product, into your services through that time, and let them experience user-generated content that the influencers are supposed to bring to your brand. And I'm using the word user-generated content because it is bad for you brands to really send these influencers posters, flyers to communicate. One of the episodes you guys were talking about visual comms. Let the influencers be a pillar in your visual communication agenda, in your strategy.
Okay. All right. So now, Eric, while we wrap this up and close it, we want to just understand, you talked about Irks and all those other things. What are those mistakes that you identify that influencers make, and then those mistakes that clients also make that just bring about this whole problem within the business?
I think they're just a few basic, and I think I've hit on them. So I think the number one mistake influencers make is not understanding the brief. Make sure you are able to understand the brief and the brand. Understand what the client expects of you. The second mistake is you thinking the brand's content outside your audience. And what I'm trying to mean by that is, if I've been Tenge, and the client comes to me as Tenge, I should stay Tenge, but in the client's brand. Let me not be uncommon as Tenge now in the client's brand. It won't make sense. It doesn't work. Also, your audience really doesn't like that content. It will never really get you the engagement that you're looking for. On the client side, the mistakes I think clients make sometimes, a small, quick reaction of budgets to the market. Try to, if your competitor is doing something and you think you should also go influencer marketing, give yourself time, create a strategy, create a budget that would help you improve your communications or your marketing target within that period of time. The last thing I think our clients make is not giving influencers the quality of education they need when talking about the brand. If you get that wrong, if you do not give your influencers the education they need, nothing in that influencer marketing plan is ever going to work out. You'll have the noise, not the reaction, not the sentiment you expect, not the revenues you expect out of it. You'll spend, but for what?
Nice. I think that's just an amazing way to end it. We have sung this song. Finally, an influencer has come and sang the same song we are singing. And I think you have all gotten the gist of this. And for all those of you that, if you have loved this, we have lots of content like this. If you're new here, what should they do if they're new?
They check out, they subscribe, they notification, then there you go and watch.
And they keep watching.
And if you've been here, if you've been watching, following, yeah? Tell your friends, tell your friend.
Tell your friend to stop.
Yeah.